In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to run a chi-square goodness of fit test. Now, if you remember, a chi-square goodness of fit test assesses whether or not your observed data equals your expected data. Now, in this example, we will be assessing if the holiday drink purchases equals what we're expecting. Specifically, we're expecting 30% of the Starbucks customers to order the chestnut praline latte, 40% of the customers to order the peppermint mocha, and 30% of the customers to order the caramel brulee latte. Also, just as a side note, this data is completely fake, so it does not actually reflect the purchasing habits of Starbucks customers. So to run the chi-square goodness of fit test, you're going to need to go to Analyze, then Non-Parametric Tests, then Legacy Dialogues, and then click on chi-square. Once you click on chi-square, you're going to get a screen that looks just like this one. From here, what you'll need to do is move over the variable that you want to assess. So for this example, I want to assess the Starbucks drinks. So I'm going to move that variable from the box on the left into the box on the right. Next, you're going to have to tell SPSS what the expected values are. Now, if you're expecting all the groups to be equal, you go ahead and leave the default selected, which is all categories equal. So you can leave that selected if you're expecting, for this example, all types of drinks to be equal. However, since that's not what we're expecting, we have just a little bit more work to do. Specifically, what you'll need to do is go ahead and click on Values. From here, what you're going to do is to start putting in the percent of participants that are expected for each group in decimals. However, you need to make sure that the order that you tell SPSS these percents is in the order that it is coded in SPSS. So that is, if chestnut praline latte is coded as 1, then I'm going to put that percent first. And if caramel brulee latte is coded as 2, then I'm going to put that percent in next. But for this data, the actual order and how it's coded in SPSS is chestnut praline, then peppermint mocha, and then caramel brulee. So I'm going to put 0.3 first for chestnut praline, since we're expecting 30% of our sample to have ordered this drink. And then I'm going to put 0.4 for peppermint mocha. And then last, I'm going to put 0.3 for caramel brulee. After you've put in your expected values in the correct order, you can go ahead and click on Options. Now, this is optional, but if you want your descriptive statistics, you go ahead and click on Descriptives. But it's really up to you. So once you have that selected or not selected, you go ahead and click Continue, and then click OK to run the chi-square goodness of fit test. And this is the output that you're going to get. Now, the first table is simply a descriptive statistics table, and if you remember, I had to ask for that. The second table is giving you information based off of, well, what your observed data was, and then the calculated expected values, or the expected N, based on what you told SPSS. And then the residual, which is the last column, is the observed minus the expected. So for chestnut praline latte, there were 6 more people in the observed category than in the expected category. Now, what is arguably the more interesting box is where the significant test lies, which is in the final box, where it says Test Statistics. Now here, what you'll want to look at is the very last row. And in that very last row, that is where you're going to find the p-value. So where it says sig, that's where you want to look. So here we see that our p-value is 0.086. Now since 0.086 is greater than 0.05, that means that we failed to reject the null. So in other words, that means that our observed n equals our expected n, or it just doesn't significantly differ. So based off of this analysis, what I could say about this data is that the Starbucks holiday drink purchases does not significantly differ from that 30-40-30 split. If, however, this analysis turned out to be significant, you would essentially say what I just said, but in the exact opposite. So what you would say is that our expected count significantly differed from our observed count. Or in other words, the Starbucks holiday drink purchases significantly differed from the expected 30-40-30 split. And this is how you run a chi-square goodness of fit test in SPSS. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. But if you're one of my students, you go ahead and email me or text me.